The long reign of the Dagestan army has finally come to an end, with Umar Nurmagomedov suffering his first loss to Merab today, and we already have some of their top fans absolutely coping right now. For example, here's a tweet saying, "One more round, Umar, we need one more," and somehow the scorecard being 3-2. We also have this tweet right here saying, "Khabib, put the shorts on for round 5, we need you here 2-2," and then magically 3-2 being on the scorecard. And the most delusional of them all is Belal Muhammad, who absolutely glazes the Dagestan fight, saying Umar 3-2. Belal still hoping to be invited to one of their birthday parties. But UFC 311 just went down, and yeah, we saw a main and co-main event. Both have a lot of talking points, but especially the co-main event. Like I said, I mean, Merab and Umar, there's so much to talk about there. I mean, it went pretty much as I predicted, with Umar Nurmagomedov doing very well in the beginning, and Umar, you know, definitely deserves some credit because he does not have a lot of experience, because he was kind of gifted this title shot. Let's be honest, I already said that this was going to backfire because he didn't have that experience. I feel like if he came in with a little more wins and a little more experience, it would have actually helped him. It's not good to just rush these guys to the title. I mean, look at Payton Talbot, which we're going to talk about later. But we get to the third round, and yeah, things really began to turn, because honestly, round 1 and 2 I thought were very close rounds, but round 3, round 4, round 5 were all for Merab. I mean, Merab in round 5 showboating on Umar, something we have never seen anybody do against the, you know, Dagestani fighters. And I'm not here celebrating, but this is just legitimately one of the first times we have seen one of these type of guys lose on a big stage like this. Merab embarrassed Umar in that last round, proving that he was right all the time. I mean, Merab was saying from the get-go, he does not deserve this title shot. I am levels above, and actually showed it against Umar. And this is no hate to Umar. As I've said multiple times, he's actually like my favorite one of those Dagestan fighters. It's just that I think we could all agree that the fan base is a little bit toxic, right? Not everybody, but a lot of the fan base is. The truth is, Umar is a great fighter. He seems like a nice guy too, but I just said, look, I think Merab is just at a different level. I mean, the challenges that this guy brings, constant pressure, you know, takedown defense, great wrestling, and also good striking too. It's gotten to a point where I'm like, who could possibly beat this guy? And yes, we did see Khabib absolutely rage in the corner. Like, we saw him screaming, you know, he was just not composed. I get it's one of your family members, but I just don't know if that really helps arguing with the corner, especially when we had, you know, Merab put Umar down in front of the corner, and instead of giving instructions, Khabib is arguing with the other coaches. Javier Mendez is a great coach, and I think that honestly, maybe they should listen to him. He has a lot more coaching experience. Overall, though, I gave it a 48-47 for Merab. Arguably a 49-46. One judge did give it to Merab. I'm not mad about that. I thought round 1 and round 2 were close, honestly. Which brings us to the main event, all right? Islam Makhachev just destroyed Renato Moicano. We were supposed to see Arman Tsarukyan, who is not going to get a title shot next. I'm going to get into that in a second. But I honestly started off the fight being kind of impressed with Renato Moicano. He was pressing Islam Makhachev, you know, backing him up, which we don't see a lot of guys do. A lot of guys go in there already nervous about the takedown. But Moicano said, look, I'm either going to go out on my shield or I'm going to get this win. He went forward against Islam Makhachev. I really could not envision any method of victory for Moicano. Credit to Islam, because I did predict that Islam was not going to be able to finish Renato Moicano, because Moicano's, you know, wrestling, his ground game isn't actually bad. His jiu-jitsu is good. I thought he'd be able to at least defend against, you know, some of the submissions Volkanovski did and Dustin Poirier did for a long time. But we saw Renato Moicano get submitted very quickly. And I just want to say, and I'm not trying to come off as a hater, but I am sick of the Islam Makhachev glaze that I'm seeing online about him accepting this fight. Islam's a savage no matter what. Islam will fight whoever, and I give him credit for that 1000%. But let's be real here. Like, Islam Makhachev fighting Renato Moicano worked out better for Islam. Like, I think everybody agrees Arman Tsarukyan is a way harder fight for Islam than Renato Moicano is. So Islam Makhachev probably got paid more to fight Renato Moicano, got an easier fight, and we're supposed to give him credit and say, good job, Islam Makhachev, for, you know, accepting this fight. This is so stupid, but we do have to give credit to Renato Moicano, because Moicano did not train 5 rounds. Let's be real with ourselves. And look, he was expecting Beneil Dariush. He was expecting a totally different fight. He deserves a lot of credit, and honestly, maybe even gave up a title shot opportunity, because let's say Renato Moicano does beat Beneil Dariush and maybe he gets another win. Do we really want to see Islam versus Renato Moicano in a year's time? Probably not. So Renato Moicano kind of also just ruined his title shot opportunities, which is why I felt so bad for him. I was hoping it would go to a decision or something like that, just so at least we could at least grab onto something for a potential rematch, so Renato Moicano could have a full training camp. However, full training camp for Islam or not, I think the same thing would happen. Renato Moicano submitted rather early. I mean, Islam looked incredible. Dana White even had to give Islam credit, bumping down John Jones as the pound-for-pound #1.
Already the pound-for-pound #1 rank.
But is it yours?
Yeah. I'll give it to him.
It also makes me think we're not seeing the Tom Aspinall-John Jones fight. That's what I'm going to say to that. Dana White also said Arman Tsarukyan is not getting the next title shot. We speculated this on Friday. Once the news broke, I did a video if you guys missed it, but I said, look, is Arman Tsarukyan getting the next title shot? It turns out no. Dana White, really shut this down. And to be honest, I was getting this. Dana White did not say this, but I was getting the impression as if Dana White felt like Arman could fight, and it was kind of like a weird excuse. Which, guys, let's put this into perspective. Like, Dana White also asks for sometimes just totally unreasonable things from fighters because it works better for the UFC. But let's be real. Like, I don't blame Arman Tsarukyan if he had an injury pulling out of the fight. Like, that's not his fault. We shouldn't expect Arman Tsarukyan to just fight anyway, right? I mean, this is his title shot opportunity, and it sucks, though, because he's not getting the next title shot. I don't really know why. Like, I'm a huge Oliveira fan. Like, I have Oliveira shirts. Like, I have a bunch of Oliveira stuff. And I'm saying unbiasedly, I have to be honest, like, who's more deserving, Oliveira or Arman Tsarukyan? Arman just beat Oliveira earlier this year. Even though, in all fairness, Charles Oliveira was in the same exact spot when he got cut before Volkanovski stepped in. He had to fight Arman Tsarukyan. Arman Tsarukyan beats Charles, and Arman Tsarukyan was supposed to get the next title shot. And I would love to see Arman versus Islam at some point. I still think that's a very 50-50 fight. I was leaning towards Arman going into it. Honestly, I'm still 50-50. Who knows? I could change my prediction by the time we get to the fight if it ever does happen this year or ever. I saw Michael Chandler call out Arman Tsarukyan. I mean, that's not a bad matchup right there, honestly, and the two have beef. Like, I know this hasn't really been covered that much, but they actually have some pretty, heated beef. Arman actually responded on Twitter to all this, saying, I agree with Dana White. Once my back heals, I'll be ready to prove I'm the true #1 contender by taking on anyone they put in front of me, and then replying to it, saying Charles Oliveira in a 5-rounder makes the most sense. I'm going to get into some of the other fights in a second real quick, but I want to talk about UFC 313 getting announced. Alex Pereira, Magomed Ankalaev. Love the fight. This was one of the fights I wanted to see this year. I would love to see Alex Pereira win, but I don't think he's going to win. I think Magomed Ankalaev is probably going to win. I'm pretty confident in this just because the gap between the wrestling is so big that I don't know if Pereira could ever make that up, honestly. I think it would have to be some extreme lucky circumstances for him to win. The co-main event, 5 rounds, and I want to get you guys' opinion on this, is Justin Gaethje versus Dan Hooker, which is a fight that I love. No complaints here. But look, this is a co-main event, 5 rounds, so there's not another title fight. Is this enough for you guys? Like, UFC 313 is looking a little weak. It's a good main and co-main event, but I don't think it's a good enough card. I think we need to add some more fights on there. Let me talk about some of the other fights real quick. I mean, Payton Talbot got fraud checked by Renato Moicano, and guys, I said Renato Moicano was game to beat Payton Talbot. I didn't predict it, but I said, look, he could totally beat him. I did not see this as Payton Talbot going up against old guy just to knock him down. It was a close fight, and look, it wound up being a pretty competitive fight, but Renato Moicano uses wrestling as I predicted, and yeah, Payton Talbot looked like a fish out of water on the ground. I was very shocked by this, and look, Payton Talbot's young. I could still see him coming back. He is super, super young. An absolute fraud check, that's for sure, but some other fights, right? Kevin Holland getting submitted by RDR. I did not expect this. I actually thought Kevin Holland was going to do the submitting, but it's something maybe I should have saw coming, especially with the size difference when we saw them face off, especially at the weigh-ins. I noticed, wow, that is a pretty decent size difference. Kevin Holland should not be a middleweight, but we also had Jiri versus Jamal Hill, which was, yeah, the fight of the night, a great fight, and I thought Yuri's head movement was great. This is what he needed to improve in. He did improve. He showed me wrong, and he actually took some shots too, and showed that he had a good chin, and Jamal took shots, showed he had a good chin, which just begs the question, how hard does Alex Pereira hit that those two went down in the first round? But if you guys want to hear me talk about more fights at 2 p.m. today, I am going to be doing a stream, not 4 p.m. I'll talk about more why on the stream, how to be moved a little bit earlier, guys, so check that out, guys, and also check out the video that's on the screen. Thank you guys for watching. You guys are the best fan-based MMA. Hit the subscribe button, like, comment, and share, and I'll see you guys in the next one.